Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. You saw the thumbnail? You saw the title. You know what we're going to be talking about. We have a wonderful guest in the house today. We are going to be sitting down with one Tracey Martin and have a great conversation with her tonight. And I'm hoping that you all will enjoy it. So please make sure you got your smartphone, your dumb phone, you're taking notes, because she's got a lot to say and a lot to share with us tonight. So thank you to everybody who's already jumped into the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so much to the mods already getting everything moving in the right direction. Jackie, you don't even have an idea how great of a guest we have. So thank you so much. We're ready. We're ready, Texas Mother. We're ready. Absolutely. So yeah, thank you all, everybody. Go ahead and jump on in here. Say what's up to your people. Say hello. Grab your beverage of choice. And I know y'all tired of me already. I know it. I know it. So with no further ado, Tracey Miller, how are you? Tracey Martin, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
Quite well, thank you, young lady. I appreciate you stopping by on this evening. All right, here we go. Who in the world is Tracey Martin?
That's a loaded question.
I know, right?
Well, I mean, I have been blessed to be a transformational life coach. I mean, we run the gamut from nutrition, holistic wellness, working with parents, brands, entrepreneurship, mothers. It truly is a holistic approach, because I don't necessarily, it's not what you do in the world, it's who you are while you're doing it. And that's always been my whole goal, is when I meet people, I may have a point of entry, but then we're going to expand upon that so you can live that purpose that we know that God's created you to be. And ultimately, I don't know what it's going to look like. So I think one of my strengths that God has given me is adaptability, to where I can meet people where they are, but I'm not going to leave them there. I want to be able to help you and guide you and walk you alongside of you to wherever we're going to go, whether it's a new mother, whether it's someone in the second act of their life. It doesn't matter. Brand owners, you name it. We're going to get in there and we're going to make sure that you are purpose driven, because you got a puzzle piece to fill, and the world's better that you're here. So that's what I get to do in this world. And it's incredible. I mean, being an author, I mean, a speaker, a wife, mother, grandmother, entrepreneur of fourth generation. It's just something I think that from a very young age, I understood. And I was willing to make mistakes, fail, grow, expand, and just to kind of see where he's got me going next.
I love it. So you have been, and one of the reasons why I reached out to you is because you have been a pillar and a mentor to Erika, Kirk, and really helping her, not only in this most recent, very dark season of her life, but you've been a friend of hers for like 15 years. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So about 15 years. How do you take someone's life like Erika's, we'll just use hers as the model for our discussion, and help keep her scripturally grounded in the midst of all the changes because you've been with her for a lot of major changes in the last 15 years.
Yes.
How do you keep her grounded in the midst of all of that? Not like it's your primary responsibility, but as your duty and your privilege to walk alongside her. How do you help her scripturally to remain grounded?
Well, I like when you said privilege, right? Anytime that we're invited into someone's life to be, a friend, a mentor, a counselor, whatever it might be, I think it is a privilege. And so much of it too is Erika walked into this world, with that mindset of she was Christ forward. Her mother instilled that in her. And that's why it's so hard right now that her mother's, very ill. And so it's just a matter of surrounding her in those dark moments. But you're right, Jason. I mean, from the moment that I was actually invited in when Charlie asked her to marry him, there was only a couple of us there, and we were down at Turning Point, and it was just an amazing thing to witness and watch her go through the growth and the life as a young adult, coming from Miss Arizona to all the different entrepreneurship endeavors that she did with her brands, and moving through, I know, the big conversation around the Romanian angels, and moving through that wonderful gift giving project and how that's been inverted, and just understanding that we know we have a grounded, rooted truth. And I think that that's something that no matter how many people spend hours and hours on the screen, there is a real person here. So my whole goal is to just be with her in person, to sit with her, to have conversations with her, especially when there's a lot of questions around her life and her world and what's it going to look like. It doesn't look anything like she thought it was going to look like and what she had anticipated. And the same thing for her children. So for me, it's always when we spend, Saturdays together sometimes, and during the week sometimes, it's just a matter of just that normalcy of, just community. It's not even just like a community, but it's just like this village that she's built around her, but then being able to pour into her. And when she asks these questions, profound questions, what's going on and why is this happening? And not so much why it's happening to her, but just why is it happening? How can I meet where God's taking me? And I always believe that we are better once we're through the fire. I mean, if you use, the book of Daniel, Chapter 3,
Absolutely.
Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, we're going through the fire. There's 3 going in, there's 4 going out. And we know that we walk with Christ. And she is so rooted in her faith. And honestly, I think that that's why the world is questioning so much, because she doesn't look like the world. And so for me, it's
Right.
always been that just that mentorship, that friendship, that generationally, bringing in
Mhm.
different conversations. And then also as she went through being married, having children, things like that, just being able to be there for her and ask questions from a different perspective than maybe the people that she has around her.
I love it. I love it. With the things that are going on with somebody, and I don't want to just only put our finger at Erica, but Erica has had a lot of changes and transformations in the last 7 months. I don't know how
Mhm.
long her mother's been sick, but in the last 7, 8 months, I think most of us probably would have tapped out well
Yeah.
before this. So, how are you? What are some of the more um, late night prayer prayer type of moments have come up? You're like, wow, from her mom to now the kids to what's going on at TPUSA to her as an individual and as a human. Like, what areas are you finding yourself being most tried in your own craft and ability to be a mentor and friend?
Just meeting her where she's at, I mean, so much of it is, and just that prayer warrior at night, I mean,
Mhm.
Ephesians, the armor of God, that's a big one, Ephesians 6:12. There's like all these different things that she already knows, and she has scripture far better than I do. But however, whenever you have and you're going through these situations, it's the text messages at night. How was your
Yeah.
day? When she's quiet, evenings are hard. When the kids go to bed, she's by herself, it's quiet. We'll
Mhm.
text sometimes up until 11:30 at night, just asking
Wow.
questions and what's going on. How was your day? I share my normal life with her, and just knowing that hopefully she'll return to some sort of a normalcy. And I'm not sure what that's going to look like for her in the future. To answer your question, her mother's been sick for quite a few years. I mean, at
Oh
least
wow.
at least
Okay.
4 years, 3 or 4 years. Yeah, and I have a different photos from different events where you could just see the progression of it, and so that's taken its toll on her too. But again, it's like she is one of God's greatest warriors, in my opinion. I've watched her go through so much and handle this with grace. And when you have these moments where it's just her and I, there's still a resolve and a resiliency that very few people know how to tap into. And so it's asking those questions and keeping her in a logical place,
Hmm.
from getting to a place of I mean, it's like you can live back in those moments of, the grief, and she's still going
Oh
through it.
yeah.
She's going to be going through it for a while. But having those conversations, I think when it's quiet and then there's just taking a few opportunities to say, okay, how was your day? What's on your mind? What's going on? Text messaging back and forth. I heard this, this is not true. This is crazy. What's going on with this? And then you start to realize how much of the lies and the deceit that are out there. And it's not just Erica, like you said, it's Erica and Charlie today, but this is an overarching thing that our
Right.
world and culture today is actually experiencing. A lot of people go through, not to this degree, but they
Oh
go
wow.
through
Yeah.
these trials. And so it's are you built for the storm that you're either coming out of, going into, or looking forward to the next one? Because you have to make sure that you're strong enough to handle whatever that is. And that's why I do know 15 years ago when I met her, we were at Channel 3. I was doing some things with my brand. She was Miss Arizona, and we were both connected at such a place that we knew this was going to be a lifetime friendship, whatever that took. And there's been moments where I haven't talked for a few months, but we've always
Oh
texted.
wow.
There's always that connection there, and there's always a
Okay.
knowing that there's a rooted relationship there, which I think is important, in especially in today, because most people don't understand. They're very disposable with people.
I got you. And I agree with that. I was going to ask, are there any routines that you've kind of found beneficial? Like, hey, I'll make sure every Monday I send you a text message, or I set a reminder to text you at 8 o'clock every night when the kids are going to bed, or anything, any kind of routines that not even only for Erica, but just in your friendship circles at all that you found very beneficial to help people walk through these times?
Structurally, for me, I have a to where if somebody pops into my mind, I immediately text them. And I'm like,
Okay. I
hey,
like that.
thinking about you, checking on you, just wanted to let you know that you're on my heart. That's it.
Okay.
And again, I don't know if that's a structure, but that's a divine structure for me.
Mhm.
And then Saturdays are usually mine and Erica's day. We spend a couple hours together. I go to the farmer's market. I pick up all the kids and her favorite things. we unload those things. We just spend some time together reading books to the kids, putting the youngest one down for a nap, spending time together. So those are things that we look forward to that are somewhat, like I said, the normalcy. But for everyday people and the people that I coach with, so much of it, like you said, is ritual and routine, because that keeps the consistency, as we know, is key to everything. And understanding that means you have to be disciplined at that too. And that's something that Erika and Charlie were very disciplined people. And so I think that also transcends into how we work through adversity, we work through difficulties, because we know that we're rooted in that, the foundation. And so many people react to the world. They're looking at all the things that we're reacting to, but they're forgetting there's a foundation that started that. You're reacting to what reverberated out of it, but you got to look at the foundation and the cause. What is that? And so I think that's where Erika always goes back to, what do I need to do to make today successful? I have my children, my mother, and I've got this big task in front of me. How am I prepared for that? And she has people around her. She's built a village. And I encourage people, one of the things we do at my women's events, I always encourage them to create their board of directors. Create people, 5 people in your life that root you and cheer you on, sometimes when you're in the darkest and deepest moments, whoever that is. Put them in your phone when things are happening. And I've been that for a lot of people. I mean, very blessed to do that. But it's really just, I want you to see things the way that I see things when you're in your deepest, darkest moment, because I know where you're going to go. I know you're on the other side of this eventually. And we do go through it. And it's not that you have to, numb things out. We have to learn to feel. You don't have to feel good all the time. You got to feel all the time and work through those things, because we are then forged to the other side of who we're meant to be. And that's why these adversities, and we're watching Erika's play out in real time in public platforms. And that's why it seems so amplified, but there are people dealing with struggles, every day.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was wondering, with all of the things that we have going on, you have to develop a filter, you have to develop a discernment, if you will, to parse through and hear and know, like, okay, this noise, this voice, this scenario, I need to make sure I deal with it appropriately and not respond in the wrong way, because that could drag me off into a whole nother crazy land. How do you help her, or how would you recommend one develop that discernment and that filter to, take the noise that's coming from the internet, the noise that's coming from the news, and properly put it in its proper place?
Well, first of all, self-regulation is a big thing. It's a big thing. And that means that you have to be your healthiest state of mind. And that's why I said, as a holistic, transformational coach, a lot of times we go into nutrition, because if you're not feeding your body properly, your body will push back and respond. So then also, how are you then? Are you actually mindfully responding? Or are you emotionally reacting? Most people react to a situation rather than mindfully respond. There's that pause, that moment to where we're like, hold on a minute. And it's a sign of intelligence when you can hold 2 thoughts at the same time. So for instance, Erika is innocent, but is there a lot of craziness around this situation? Absolutely. So you start to look at these things. Does this not seem normal to me? But yet this is this. It's like, and that's the sign of a very highly intelligent person, or someone that can actually question their own thinking. Am I correct? Which I always bring in the biblical lens on that, because it's possessing humility. It's, do I really know, what I'm seeing? Am I really sure? And in this world of chaos and confusion, which we know is the design of the enemy, so many people use that word discernment that you mentioned, but they really don't even understand what that actually means, because the Bible calls you to discern through a spiritual lens, but people weaponize the verses and cherry pick what they want to make them mean the moment that they're in, which brings in our bias. So when we have a bias that we think someone is automatically guilty or automatically something's off, or when women always say that's like the true crime podcast, I'm like, just the fact, because and God says to guard your heart is deceitful. So when we realize that, we're like, wait a minute, do I know this for a factual? Have I had this conversation in person, or am I looking at regurgitated content? Am I watching this, so many hours a day? I mean, I think if you mentioned Candace, I think of Candace 7 months creating this kind of content to fill her content calendar. That has to do something to you, because it's so diabolical, and there's so many manipulations and just chasing and things that are just not true, that you keep pushing and pushing to where a lot of times I think she's really spiritually lost. And that's my opinion. I understand that. But, you start to realize that so many times when you're looking at the world today, people don't have a frame of reference to what they're looking at it for. They're taking that's a created content, and that becomes their truth. So it's kind of like I said, it's like these podcasts that are created that it's like Candace is the guest and the podcaster. She
Right.
very rarely has people on that will actually challenge or actually bring another thought pattern to it. And I think that's what happens when you're trying to manipulate millions of women, especially. And my heart is for all generations of women, because we are the ethos of the home, and women have been under attack for millennials, since the
Right.
garden.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
I think that that's ultimately what my goal is always, is when you said, can you handle what you're going through? Are you strong enough for it? Do you have the grit and the resiliency? And so many young people today, I love working with Gen Z. So many of them do not. And a lot of times it's
Gotcha.
because of the social media and things like that. But I think a lot of it is when you build your life, you have to build it intentionally, right? You can't just
Mhm.
either we live by design or by default. And
Right.
so when you realize that you're designing things, a lot of times you'd pull back whenever you're not sure of something. You wouldn't double down on it. And that's where I think that the social media has really pulled people into this. It's a complete mesmerizing train wreck for most people.
No, I think you're right on the money. So let me ask you this question. How would you practically help somebody deprogram, detox, unplug from all of the social media? They've allowed social media to kind of drag them down this crazy train.
Mhm.
Or, they realize, like, Tracy, what, I've been watching 7, 8 hours of this stuff a week and it's really messed me up. What would be
Mhm.
some ways that you would say, hey, this is how you could practically start your detox, if you will, or start unplugging from this and deprogramming from listening to this foolishness for so
Right.
long? What would you give them?
So much of it's habits, right?
Okay.
So if we operate out of habits, which means it's kind of like the person that gets up in the morning, pours the cup of coffee and drives to work,
Hmm.
have them leave that cup of coffee at home and they don't even know how they're going to get to work. I mean, because it becomes a habit. I mean, I have women
No, I
who
got
just
you.
get up in the morning, drive through their Starbucks, and then if they're, so let's use this as an example. If they are wanting to, let's say they want to cut their sugar out. This is just a very simple example.
Hmm.
The first thing I'm going to look at is the pain points, which is your morning latte full of whatever it is,
All
right? So
kinds
then
of
I'm
sugar,
going to,
right?
yeah, so I'm going to say, hey, let's cut that out. And so there's a void there, right? There's a void. So we have to fill that void. So when somebody starts to pull something out, like this content, like what's happening on social media, whatever, so there's going to be a void. So you fill that void with something healthy, whatever that. Go for a walk. If you
Okay.
normally check your Insta. And the other thing I do with a lot of my young kids, like my young Gen Zs, is they set their timer and they'll watch it. They'll check it morning and afternoon, or morning and evening. We try the blue lights done at 6 p.m. If you're going to use it, use the blockers. But then they start, because all that goes into, again, it regulates your hormones. It changes how your mind works. And so it's kids learning, basically natural biology. And so
Yeah.
when somebody says, okay, you know what, I need to pull this out of my life, my first question is to them is, you're going to have a void. How do you fill it? Because that's just a habit. It's like somebody that comes home
Hmm.
from work and pours himself a glass of wine and, I deserve it, I'm winding down. I mean, my favorite is when the young kids go, I'm just going to take a break. I go, where's your break? Well, I'm going to be on TikTok for 30 minutes. I go, your brain isn't taking a break.
The brain's not
you
taking a
know,
break, right?
no. And so, and all those things are wired to keep us addictive, to keep us into that hamster wheel. So the
Right.
number one question is if you pull something out, there's a void, let's fill it with something really good. Whether it's reading a book, pick a book. If you're not sure, I'll give you a list of 10 to pick from. Let's
Hmm.
start doing that. And a lot of times these people, whenever I work with them, we'll do an accountability part, like maybe check in once or twice a week. Hey, this is where I'm at in the book. And until they're able to just kind of do their own thing. And then some people who
For sure.
possess a high level of discipline, they look at their life, they audit it, and they're like, I need to pull this out because I know I need to get out ahead of it. So we either react to something or respond to something. So my goal is to be proactive, not reactive. So if
Right.
sitting on social media is really getting to you emotionally, you're starting to be conspiratorial, you're starting to be paranoid. This is a residual of hours of time on this particular app. So then we're like, okay, you know what? And then you're seeing people that are spewing content that have no factual basis. And so
Yeah,
then
there's that problem, right?
right. And then you take it and you run with it. So it's like the world's worst game of telephone,
Hmm.
because you have no idea what it starts as, right? And so my whole goal is, number one, you have to unlearn a lot of habits, whatever
Right.
that is for you. And my goal is to always coach people on, don't wait for the crisis, get ahead of it. Because if you get ahead of it, you're going to respond to it. If you're reacting to it, you don't have a whole bunch of choices. And so my goal is to, hey, let's unlearn some habits here. What are the top 3 that you want to pull out of your life? And we do all kinds of cool exercises and whiteboards on this to pull these out. And then after that, it's like, what's the healthy things that you can have that you can fill the void with? Maybe start cooking for yourself. If you're not eating at home and you're always eating out, start number 1 in the kitchen. Number
Gotcha.
2, maybe start reading a book, pick a couple books. And if you have an attention span, most people like a goldfish today, which it's 8 seconds. So we're like, okay, I can read 2 pages right now without my mind going crazy. Okay, well, you're training your brain. Your brain is just like your body. We can train it to become something different than what we're currently experiencing. It's the same thing with our body. It's a muscle. We can exercise this mindset. So much of it is, number 1, do you even recognize that you have a problem? So many of it is like, when I always meet with people and they'll say, man, this is just crazy what's going on in the world. I go, it is. I go, but how does it affect you? And they're like, well, I go, you're bringing it into your life, by the way. So
we might need to talk about that a little bit more, because that's something I think, again, like I call it LARPing, where you kind of take on somebody else's offense and you're offended on their behalf. It could be something in the past or something on the other side of the world. It doesn't change anything. And I bring this up quite often. I'm like, it's not going to change the price of gas. Somebody came and asked me, who was I voting for? Came knock on my door today and asked me, who was I voting for in the next election and such like that? And what are the major issues? And he went down the list. I said, I don't care about any of those things. I don't care about one bit of those. And he was really offended. I said, I don't care, because I got to worry about gas prices. I was pointing to a gas station that's down the road. And he's like, yeah. And I said, I got to worry about these things. These are things that really matter to me right now. Why are you not concerned about those?
Well, see, and to that question though, Jason, what's relevant to you, right? So that's why it's such an individual journey. What's relevant to you? I tell a lot of my moms, you're so worried about what's in the White House. What's going on in your house? I mean, that's what you actually can control, and that's what you have influence over. And that influence is powerful for a short time. And then the world's going to get all over your kids and your family and everything, right? So it's like, worry about number 1 right here. What can I do in my home to create a better, and then fill in the blank, whatever that is. Better health, better well-being, better communication. And so much of that, especially for my women who are moms, and I always look at them, I go, are you modeling the behavior that you want your kids to be out in the world? And I think of a lot of the women right now, and I really do, like you prayed for Candace, before we started. And I do the same thing. I also pray for a lot of women who are pulled into this, because they are drawing this into their world. Nobody puts a gun to your head and tells you to sit down and turn this on. Nobody tells you and chains you to the door and says you have to watch social media for the next 3 hours. Nobody does these things. And so it's a choice that you've made, but most of the time it's an addiction and a habit, and you get your hit of dopamine. And so my point is what can we do? How can we chase a better form of dopamine? Whether it's starting an exercise program, going walking, pick 5 people in your life that you love spending time with, grab a coffee date with them. We have to learn these interpersonal skills, because we're losing those. And as parents, if we don't model those, our younger generations never experience it. And that's when we're looking at, well, you're always on your phone. Well, most parents are as well. I've had so many young people. Yeah, we all are. I've had so many young people who have said, I tried to talk to my mom the other night, but she was too busy on TikTok, or she was too busy on Instagram. Wow. And I'm like, so here's the thing. Go in and ask her, can I have your undivided attention for the next 30 minutes? Be, honest about it, and then ask, because a lot of times we're too distracted, and so when we actually listen and connect, and then we actually have a meaningful conversation, we seek to understand rather than just hear you, we're actually listening. And that's a muscle. That's a muscle that we also have to exercise in our own home, for sure.
I'll tell you a quick story. Every day at 9:20, my college student calls me. The first couple of times, she's calling me about nothing. She's leaving from her dorm. She's going to her first class every single day. Good. And she's not calling me about anything. There's literally a day when she told me she was trying to describe the color blue of the sky. And I'm like, why in the world are you calling me? Don't you know I got stuff to do? And you know what? It hit me. I said, my dad would never have sat on the phone and listen to me jibber jabber for 20 minutes about nothing. I said, absolutely. So every day I start clearing my calendar around 9:15, because I know at 9:20, the phone is going to ring and she's going to want to talk for 22 minutes about absolutely nothing. So she's home from school now, and now she's in live and living color. And She wanted to talk to me about the most ridiculous thing today. And I was like, oh my, I'm on my way to the post office and running some errands. And I said, I'm gonna listen to this story. And it was the most ridiculous story, Tracy, on the planet. I don't even want to tell anybody what it was. She and her sister have already determined what their kids' names are going to be. And she wanted to tell me the top 5 boy names. And I said, baby, I got to get ready to go. I have to run to the post office. She said, fine. Well, don't ask me what the number 1 name is now because it's now changed. Because what she's trying to say is that the number 1 boy name was supposed to be Jason.
Exactly.
So I guess now my grandson's not going to be named Jason. I said,
but you know what though, Jason, you know what? Those phone calls at one day won't be there.
I know.
I mean, honestly, I mean, those are the times that I always say, if you slow down, that is a richness in your life that you have, that your daughter wants to call you, wants to be with you. And once you're at even if it's just your ear, I mean, seriously, I mean, that's something that you should cherish. I mean, honestly, and it's precious and it goes away much quicker than what we realize.
No, I know, because I look at my phone, I say, oh, I haven't called my mom in 2 days. Like, I gotta get this together.
Right?
So I called my mom, and no, I did not describe the color blue of the sky. But I did let her know that I have to go get her van washed and detailed soon. So we got to work that out. But so yeah, I totally agree with you. You're right on the money. I agree with you. So if you don't mind, Tracy, how have you walked alongside? Because I know the questions are coming. I see them coming fast and furious. And so we're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to turn signal on and make the turn into crazy land. How have you helped Erika in this time that has truly been like, I don't think any of us could really honestly say that we would do much different or that we would be much better or that I would be so much more superior than Erika. I don't know what I would have done. With any of the things that she's done. How have you applied these with her, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, first of all, you'd have to ask her to get her exact, interpretation of it. But from my standpoint, my goal is to always be steadfast and a rock for her. That's always my goal. I've written a women's curriculum called The Lighthouse, and it launches Mother's Day. And it's been going since 2016, 2017. It's been a work in progress as I've grown. And my goal is just to be that rock, that steady person. I mean, a lighthouse doesn't chase boats. It shines bright and everybody comes to them. And that's ultimately been my goal, is to teach women to be a lighthouse for their family, for themselves, for their friend groups. And right now for Erika, it's a big task. And so for me, it's to be that steadfast person that she can count on no matter what, no matter when it is, no matter what it is, that you can have someone that will be there for you and to help you. And even in the difficult, dark times, not just the fun times that we've had over the years and the things that we've experienced together and created together as 2 crazy entrepreneurs and all that stuff. I mean, just the wonderful things. There's been a lot of other moments in that. And so it's just being there, knowing that whenever that phone rings, I will be there no matter what. And to me, it's a very rare thing today that I even myself have experienced that, I mean, the people that you thought were going to be there, they're not. And so me, it's always I became the person that I needed in my life. And I think ultimately, I think we all do, right? We look at a parent and we're like, okay, I don't want to bring this into my family. I can take the good, take the meat, spit the bones out. I want to improve on my generation. So when I go back and audit my life, and whenever I have friends, I love people really hard and I take care of them, but I'm very honest. I'm very truthful. I will call you out and I expect the same. But for me, it's always understanding that I became the woman that I needed in my life for a lifetime. And so that's what I want to be to other women, and especially right now to Erika. And that's what I hope to do no matter when she calls or texts, I'm right there.
I love it. And that's powerful that you're there for her. All right. In the midst of what she has going on, from, of course, the murder of Charlie Kirk to the memorial to burial to now this new reality, the new normal, as people like to say.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I just call it the besiege of Turning Point USA and all of that. Is there anything particular you say, man, she really needs the community's help and prayer in this area, whether it be, is there an area in particular? Because there was a question that I want to bring up before we get into any others. And it was this, how can we help her? So is there any particular area that we, like, man, you all really should pray for her in this area or something of that nature?
Well, first of all, prayer is powerful, especially when you have believers all aligned together, but be courageous. Be courageous and bold in that. If there's something that you know of to be true, counteract it. So many people, if every person that sent me a DM that said that they're praying for Erika, that they know there's millions of people doing that, but you're quiet. You're quiet behind, you're, which I get it. It takes courage to do that. But I always ask the person that's sending me these DMs that's telling me this, I'm like, okay, so who have you shared this with today? Have you put on your, and if you're on social media, have you put on your own social media praying for Erika Kirk at 9:10, in the morning or whatever? If more people would understand that, there would be a collective amplification of the good that we know is out there in the world. And I realize it takes courage to do those things for people. I understand it because you definitely get attacked. But as we know, the enemy is he's going to kill, steal, and destroy. He's going to end up destroying Candace in this too. He's not only going after Erika, he's going after Candace, because once everything comes out, and I know it will, and Erika will be vindicated from everything, Candace I don't know if she can recover from this. And I don't wish ill will on anyone. I really don't.
Gotcha.
And I think that so much of it is that when you pray for Erika, it's so much of protection. It's not protection, quote unquote, from Candace. It's just protection from the enemy's attacks. So much of that is. And then also, like I said, be courageous in your own faith. Be bold in your own faith. We saw a revival after Charlie was assassinated, like nothing we've seen, not in my lifetime anyway. To where, there were lines outside of churches. The Bible sales were just amazing. And we know that would then change the trajectory of where our country's going, and the dark would be then brought to light, and the enemy can't have that. And so that's why I believe he's inverted what's happening right now. And I had a thought the other day, it's like when Charlie, and I don't know if I'm correct in this thought or not, but when Charlie passed, there was a lot of people, I think, who were lost. I heard a lot of messages and just conversation, and they wanted to be a better person. They didn't understand it. We kind of go through that. And it's almost like the enemy took all of that and wrapped that up as negativity and hatred towards Erika. And rather than realizing that Charlie knew exactly who Erika was, and she's his vault. She knows she's the best person that can carry this on. She's not Charlie. She will never be Charlie. Charlie's one of a kind. However, she was married to him, and she knows his ideals and his values, and she knows where he stood. And I think that that's more than anything is praying for people to understand that there's grace in here, there's humility in here, and include those words in the prayer. Because I think that God needs to hear that amplified right now, because the enemy is doubling down on a lot of innocent people.
I agree. So one of the things, and we talked about this last night on the show, were all these people, oddly enough, they were men who were clamoring and banging that Erika Kirk should step down from TPUSA. She should not be the CEO of TPUSA. Had you heard that? Had you heard this?
So somebody sent me, if you're talking about the guy named Vinny and somebody else, some other podcasts in there. Yeah. So somebody sent me that, and they were asking me honestly what my thoughts were. And I said, here's the thing. Charlie and Erika's life was a divine intersection. Erika was already on a path of rooted in her faith, sharing her biblical principles every day through Bible 365, developing her Proclaim Streetwear brand. I actually helped her in that, was blessed to help her in that, to develop that. She had done this all these different projects. The Romanian Angel Project was an incredible thing we did once a year, giving gifts to children in Romania. That's it. That's all that happened there. So then she had she was always wanting to give and to be a part of the community and help. And that was her mother's heart as well. She already had that. She was also very much politically understood, looking at things, very connected into what was happening. She loves her country. She's rooted in her faith and her family. That was already there. Then when she met Charlie, then her life changed. She wanted to be a wife and a mother. And this is something where women, especially men, and I understand to a degree where someone like these Vinny, where they look at this and they judge that, because it is a tough thing that she's doing. She didn't ask for this. And it is a very masculine role sometimes. Absolutely. However, never underestimate the voice of a strong, faithful, rooted woman, and a widow especially. We need to go back and look at history, right? Ethel Kennedy didn't curl up in a ball and die when Bobby Kennedy died or was assassinated. She went and continued his legacy and actually continued what he was doing through all these different projects. Have you ever heard of a woman by the name of Marie Curry, her name is? So she was married. Her husband passed away. And she was then ostracized and really horrible things back in the 20s, and just attacking that she was, on her husband's coattails and building all these things. And I only bring this up because history repeats itself. And then the one person who got to her and said, I believe in you, keep going. And she's the only double Nobel Prize winner in 2 different categories. And the person that wrote her a note was Albert Einstein. He goes, I believe in you. So she pulled herself out and she contributed. And I think there's always, when someone has something to contribute, don't ever get in their way. Because if you're not out there doing it, you're judging the person who is. And
Right.
they may not do it the way that you did it. They may not have the lens or the bias or the things that you have. Imagine if all these people that are cutting Erika down and judging her actually linked arms and said, how can we help? What can we do? How can we get involved in this? Because it is a mission, as we know. The mission is still on point. And it's helping this country, it's helping families, it's getting our faith rooted again, and nothing's changed. It just looks
Right.
different right now. And I think even when I talk to Erika about that, it's like everything, when men look at this and judge it, and I do hear them, and there is validity to that. Absolutely. I mean, what happened at the White House, the correspondent, when she broke down, I mean, that was a PTSD response to that, and then we all have those moments of weakness. We regroup and we pull back out again when we have the right team together. And if
Right.
you have a judgment on how someone's doing something, that's fine. You can have an opinion and a judgment. However, if you're not willing to link arms and further the mission and be part of it, you're part of the problem, because you're blocking whatever that is that's moving forward. And when I say that, Jason, I don't mean that as a negative connotation or a negative statement. I really mean, think about, have you reached out to Turning Point? Have you actually, to these people, that are saying these negative things, have you reached out and said, hey, I'm witnessing some things. Can I be of service? Can I be wise counsel? This is what I'm seeing. How can I help you guys? We don't have that, because everybody wants their own little podcast, their own agenda, their own, 15 minutes of fame, all their clicks, views, and all those kinds of things. And we see it right now playing out with people. But that's why I said there's enough of this to go around if everybody had the courage and the boldness to actually step out. Because I do believe that voice is much louder of what can we do? How can I get involved? And it's, like I said
Right.
earlier, it's in your own home. It's in your own community. It's at the local level, and Turning Point to me is local. So to me, it's just like, there's plenty of people here that could easily, and yeah, judge what you want to. I get it. You guys, these 3 guys that are on their podcast, I mean, they all have an opinion, and they see something that they perceive as a weakness or whatever it might be. Charlie didn't see it as a weakness. So, and I think that Charlie also knew who Erika was.
I agree 100%. So I said this last night. I said, I thought it was adorable that so many men are telling Erika to step down, but they themselves are not saying that they will step in or
Right.
step up. Like, it's one thing to say for Vinny or Jason Whitlock or PBD or fill in the blank to say, Erika, you need to step down. You need to step down. And they literally said, I don't know who's going to step in, but you need to step down.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
sir, if you're not asking for a leave of absence and flying from Miami, if you're not going to move your show from Nashville and fly out to Phoenix, what are you talking about? That makes no sense.
Right.
Oh, well,
right.
we don't like the way the team is going, so we want the quarterback to just put the ball down and walk off to the sideline. Well, who's going to be the quarterback? We don't know who's going to be the quarterback. We just don't want that person to be the quarterback. Like, stop and think about that. That's ignorant. So I do think that it's coming from somebody asked. I think it's coming from a place of jealousy. I truly think. I don't think it has anything to do with a sincere concern for TPUSA, a sincere concern for Charlie, Erika, or the mission of Charlie's legacy. I think it's really just the fact of, man, this is my opportunity to glean and scrape away 500,000 or 600,000 views off of them. They literally pulled up how many people are watching Turning Point. The Charlie Kirk show now. And Charlie Kirk's there. I'm like, and you're proud of that, my guy? Like, you're big proud of that. Like, you actually said that with your full chest. Like, you were proud to say that they're not watching the show. Now, when you turn around and they're not watching your show and they got shut down that Fort Lauderdale studio, then what's going to happen? Like, I can't believe that. So I just thought that was very interesting to take on it.
No, I agree with you 100%.
So going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, what do you want and I'm sure you probably have heard things from Erika that we haven't heard about it. What would you want people to understand? Like, a lot of people are saying that she went there because she wanted attention. She went there because she wanted to, now she did say in her speech, or in her little talk afterwards that she wanted to kind of speak with and confront some of the
Mhm.
journalists. But was that the only reason that
Yeah,
she
it
went
was. I
there?
mean, it's the
Okay.
same reason why she went to see Candace. She's a gracious person. She believes in face-to-face interaction and
Okay.
confrontation. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it's the same reason why she went down there for 4.5 hours. So it's the same thing. It's like, I want to see these people that are in the room. And then somebody else said, well, these people really aren't your enemies or
Enemies.
whatever.
Right.
Well, yeah, there was a lot that are their enemies. I don't care. I don't
Right.
care which side of the aisle you're on right now. There's a demographic on the right that is also completely down that path of trying to
Sure.
destroy her. So I don't think that there's ever a downside, in my opinion, to go and confronting someone and to have a conversation face to face. We need more personal face to face conversations,
No, I
especially
agree.
dialogue around stuff like this. And then when she went there and that happened, yeah, like I said, it was a PTSD moment. And I texted her right after it happened. I said, "Where are you? What's going on?" She goes, "I'm coming home." And then I see somebody else saying she's standing next to a van. She's not leaving home. I'm like, do you realize there were hundreds of people that needed to leave? And how that, I mean, you don't just go right there. You have to wait. And so I think that's where people start to interject. And then we put ourselves in their stories and we think we would do this or we wouldn't do this or whatever that might be. But absolutely. I mean, if you know Erika is not someone who wants attention. Even when she did my events, she was
Mhm.
always behind the scenes helping me with all my events. She was behind doing the techie, doing this, doing that. The only time she actually did stuff out front was when she was modeling some of my brands. That was it.
Okay.
I mean, if
Okay.
you go back and look at Charlie and she was very rarely on the Charlie show, but she was always there. And if you look at their interactions, she was uncomfortable in those situations. That was Charlie's territory. And she respected and she supported that. And she's also was Charlie's helper. And so
Mhm.
she was that person. Now she will step in when she has to, and that's what we're seeing. And people are judging that. But no, that's the reason why she went. Eric, believe me, this is not the attention that anybody would want.
I agree 100%. So, is there anything else about the White House correspondence? I do want to jump back to
Yeah.
flying out to Nashville, but is there anything else from the White House correspondence that people might need to, like, hey, be gracious? That's one of my big issues. Like understand, people don't respond to things like Jason does, or
Mhm.
like Tracy does, or like the 100 and 200 people that are watching on the best live chat. We all respond to something differently. And I
Mhm.
can't say emphatically that the right way to do it is the way that Jason would do it, because
Right.
nobody's ever done it. There's not a standard. There's not we don't have data and a metrics to compare it to. Is there anything else that you would say, hey, people just need to be gracious in this time? Like, for example, the standing by the van. Like, you do realize that
Mhm.
more people are trying to take pictures of Erika Kirk than we're trying to take a picture of Trump.
Oh,
Like,
it was
let
crazy.
that
It was
right, let that
let that
settle in.
sink
Like, there are more
in. Yes.
right. At this point in the game, like, more people are trying to find out what she's doing
Mhm.
than Melania Trump.
Yeah.
Like, the first lady isn't getting as much press as Erika. Like, let that settle in.
Well, and
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 what do you
and
think
and
is what
why
she
is
wants?
that?
Go ahead.
And why is
Yeah.
that? I mean, why are
That's a great question.
people doing that? Why are people more into this? And like I said, it is the proverbial train wreck that they cannot look away from. And it's constantly destroying and putting that layer on. And the grace, you leave an event with all that chaos and all that stuff going on, you're standing by waiting for cars to leave, drivers to get there to pick up. You're not going to be 2 seconds and you're out the door,
Right.
but I can tell you right now, she left right away. And so, it's just one of those things to where you're like, I wouldn't do this. You know what I'm saying? We're all built differently, first of all.
Yeah.
We all have different lived experience. And to me, people look at all these different shared videos and everything, and they're like, oh my God, she's everywhere. She's really not. She's at home a lot of times with the kids,
Right.
and this was one event that she went to, and then she flies right back home. So it's one of those things where I think people look at something and then you have all the other people feeding that with their opinions and their judgments. And there's a thing, I think I told you this a while ago. There's a thing called apophenia, where
Yep.
the brain recognizes patterns. So for
Mhm.
instance, I think I use the example of you're sitting in your house and you hear woman 35 years old found missing, body found in the forest, seen arguing with her husband earlier. Your brain connects, he must be involved in some way. And that's
Right.
just what your brain does because it keeps you safe, right? But there's no factual evidence yet. You just made that assumption. So what
Okay.
happens is when you're on the screen, how many hours a day, listening to how many different voices, how many different opinions, how many different manipulations of the words and the exact, like I said, it's a horrible game of telephone. So when you're there, you're like, oh yeah, that I wouldn't have done that. So obviously there's something wrong with her. There's something off. I believe, I think, I don't know, but something's off.
It's
I
weird.
feel it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the favorite one. It's weird, things like that. And so then, which is a human way of communicating, right, to your friends,
Mhm.
not to millions of people that you don't know on the internet, because then you have no context and no nuance with that conversation or that statement. And I think that's why I said when she goes in person and speaks to someone, it gives her an opportunity. First of all, it's a real person, it's a real life, and she's actually walking through a horrible tragedy. And so then if she can go and meet these people and maybe put a human side to this, who knows? Would that change one person's mind? I don't know. Are they capable of that? Which is, can they hold two paradoxes at the same time? I don't know if they can or not. That's a sign of highly intelligent people, which is very rare. And I don't know
Right.
if many of them are in journalists, to be honest with you.
That's a good point.
But you know what I'm saying? And so I think that that's ultimately where that came from, was, hey, I'm going to go, I'm going to sit down, talk to some of these people, see if we can have a dialogue, which is ultimately what Charlie did all the time too.
No, I agree 100%. So I'm gonna take a couple of questions, and
Sure.
they are all over the place. So the Tennessee trip was a trap. Talking changed nothing. What did Erika want to come from that conversation? We were here saying we didn't want her to go.
Yeah.
The best live chat, the most electrifying comment section. We were all saying, "Don't go, no, 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 no."
Yeah.
What did she want to? What was she expecting to happen, or what was her thought process? If you know.
Yeah, I don't think there was any expectations, to be honest. I just think it was a matter of let's just have a talk, let's have a conversation. And I think a lot of people are very confused by they say that Candace was Charlie's best friend. That's a false statement. They
Right.
were not best friends. They hadn't spoken in years together. But again, you dig up old video and people think it's relevant today. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there was any expectation other than let's have a conversation, see if we can come to some sort of an agreement, because a lot of things are being dug up that don't need to be dug up. Things are being misinterpreted, misinformation. I mean, you either disinformation or malinformation. That's really the only three things that you can do. And I think that Erika went there honestly with an open heart to try to say, hey, ask me anything that you want to ask me. It's the same thing, honestly, Jason, that when I talked to her, I said the same thing on my phone. Ask me anything. I'm an open book. There's nothing here to hide.
Right.
And I think that's what it was. And what I noticed, and I could be wrong, what I noticed was, and I don't watch her show except the one she did on My Family. But I actually believed what I saw was that after that happened, she kind of softened. And then a lot of her followers were like, what's
Oh,
going
yes.
on? She got to you. What's going, and then and then she's actually said, I want what the people want.
Yep.
So think about that. If your
We
people
watched it.
want blood, you're going to keep going for it.
Yeah, we watched it in real time, and you're 100% correct. She was
Yeah.
definitely different, but her chat, her super chat, her live chat
Yeah,
definitely drove that conversation.
I agree.
Of course, thank you so much, Gail. I agree. Erika's so blessed to have you as a friend, and
Oh,
I
thank
agree
you.
with that. Let me see what Mindy said. Mindy says this: Tracey, prayers and blessings to you and your family. Please tell Erika she is in our thoughts and prayers. Tell her she needs new blood and to add Jay Witt to the roster. Wait, hold on. I didn't read that.
You just got nominated.
I got nominated. He's wonderful and has a great perspectives. God
I
bless.
love
Well,
it.
thank you so much. I don't know if my wife wants me moving out to Arizona. I'm pretty sure you'll hear this door get kicked in if that rumor
That's
gets out there.
funny.
But no, I appreciate it. No, and I think there have been things that Turning Point has done or responses that Erika's given. They were like, I don't know if you should have did that, or
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And then again, most of us are gracious and say, hey, okay, this is not my forte. It's not something I personally would do, but I understand why you would do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't judge and say, well, you should not have done it because I would not have done it. That's definitely being judgmental. But I'm like, hey, that's not my cup of tea. I probably wouldn't have done it. But hey, rock on, keep it moving.
Yeah.
What do you, as it relates to this, the besiegement of Turning Point USA, what are some things that have happened around that you've been most like surprised with the responses of people watching it from the outside and judging TPUSA rather than saying, what about the What about the people besieging it? What about these
Yeah.
people? You're not calling them out.
Yeah. I think it's hard to always be the outsider looking in for any of us into an organization because we're not privileged to the behind the scenes conversations.
Right.
We
Right.
don't know what they know. We don't have that foreknowledge of anything. We see it afterwards. And when then we're like, oh, maybe that wasn't a great thing to do. Going into it, it's like the judgment where people always say, like Erika uses the pyrotechnics, right? Charlie always, if you look at any of Charlie's stuff, they were in everything. That was her way of honoring him,
Right.
go ahead.
I'm gonna cut you off because that's bothered me for a while. Most people, and I hate to say this, I know a lot of people are gonna feel bad about this. Most people didn't know anything about Charlie Kirk before 9/10.
Right. No,
By
you're right.
9/11 at like 7 o'clock in the morning, they had become experts and had PhDs in Charlie Kirkology.
Yes.
And I'm telling you the truth, like your boy, myself, I did not know much about him. So
Yeah.
when I saw the pyrotechnics, I too was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
You know what? That's not my jam, but rock on. And I was kind of judging in the back of my mind, but I was keeping my mouth shut. When I found out and saw that Charlie Kirk had done it, I said, oh, well, that makes sense then.
Right.
And then,
Right.
there's tons of things you've heard about Charlie Kirk once he died, and everybody was like, oh, this, that, and other. When you go back and watch and listen to the full context of his debates or full context of his Ask Me Anythings, it really does change things. And a lot of people who've even been on this channel like, yeah, I thought he was one way because I was told that. I thought he was one way because this is what the terrible game of intergalactic telephone told me.
Right.
Once I saw it, and I mean, I've played several of these, the most damnable things that Charlie Kirk has said videos, and we watched the whole thing in context.
Mhm.
And a lot of people said, yeah, that's not what I was told.
Right. Right.
So-
and that's why I'm saying we're not privileged to the context and to the nuance.
Right.
We get little sound bites. We get podcast episodes. We get
sound
we get edited videos. I mean, have you seen the latest thing to where on TikTok the trend is using the audio of Charlie's assassination, the last question, and the gunshot? These young kids are using that as a transition audio on their videos. I mean,
I've heard that. It didn't make sense to me. I saw it, but I'm like, that doesn't even make sense.
No.
What's wrong with you people?
Great question, but that tells me the heart of our society right now, because what's in your heart eventually comes out of your mouth, and we're so desensitized to this stuff because we see it over and over and over again. Whether you watch Netflix, whether you watch podcasts, whether you watch, whatever you do, you see these types of hyper violent things, and you're desensitized to it because it's like, oh, it's just on a screen. No, this was a real life. And to go back on your question with the pyrotechnics, that was a big thing for Charlie. When he first started out, to then be able to, he wanted the stage a certain way. He wanted to have the screens. There was like milestones of things that he was able to have in his presentations. And that's why they're kept, whether you agree with it or not, that's why they're there. And the thing that people don't understand, and I don't mean this to be rude, but I just want to be very, very targeted with this. Your opinion is not relevant. And so when you look at an organization that is built a certain way by a founder, and that founder is no longer there, there's going to be mistakes and mishaps and things are going to have to change, but we're only going to see that in the rearview mirror. But the judgment and your opinions are not relevant on a day-to-day basis to this organization.
Good point.
And I think that, then, like I said, I don't mean that to be rude. I just want to be truthful with you. They're going to continue the way that they believe that Charlie would want to be continued. What you see on social media will serve in a whole different manner because nobody wants you to see the truth of it. And I think it's kind of like what you said a minute ago, like when you watch all these videos in context, the whole thing, most people would agree with it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Have you ever been to an AmFest before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When was the first AmFest that you went to, if you don't mind?
Oh, goodness.
This is way off our questions, I know.
Yeah, that's okay. Probably, what is this, 2026? Probably 4 years ago.
Okay. 2022, 2021-ish.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was the tent there back then?
Which tent?
The tents, the Ask Me Anything tent that people would take pictures under.
No, that was brought in after the assassination happened.
So that wasn't before? They didn't have those anywhere before?
They had a Charlie Kirk show, and they had like when you walk through like the vendor area and all the media, there's media row and all those kinds of things. Yeah, there was representation there. you
I
know,
got you.
but it wasn't like what you're talking about, like on the college campuses. It wasn't a duplication of that.
Got it. Okay. Because a lot of people wonder, like, oh, they brought it there as a bloody memorial and all this kind of craziness. I'm like, no, that's where Charlie Kirk literally. That's where I hate to say it, but that's where that's where he worked. I mean, it would be almost akin to bringing his desk and his chair there. I mean,
Correct.
I mean, this is where you're known for that tent that ask me anything, prove me wrong, tent. So
That was
I was
Charlie's
told that they
office.
had him there before. Somebody told me that they had been there before, but
And maybe
didn't know
they
how
were
long ago.
Jason, maybe they were Jason and I missed them, but I do know that there was, because I mean, when you walk down Media Row, there's like anything and everybody you can imagine there.
For sure.
And then, so then maybe they were there, but I didn't see one, and I didn't see like an exact duplicate or reenactment of that. But I did see it this last year, when I went last year to the one in 2025. And I did see it there, and people were there talking about it and that. And, you know, I mean, and again, you go back to, would you do that? Would you not do that? That's just an opinion. It was important for them to have it. And the way that the AmFest was set up, it was right next to like a trailer where they had different speakers up there. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you went or not, but I mean, so yeah, I mean, the setups are always different because vendors are always different, you know, I mean, the way that they set those things up. So I honestly don't know if it was there before, then I must have missed it.
I got you. Now let's talk about Tyler Robinson, because I do want to make sure that we, you know, give him his opportunity, because he is the one that definitely, until proven guilty, is being tried for the murder of Charlie Kirk. As it relates to Tyler Robinson and such like that, do you feel like or think that Turning Point should excise any kind of legal strategies against anybody else until before this trial is over? Should they sue anybody before the Tyler Robinson case is over? Do you think they should, or do you think they should just leave it alone totally?
I don't know what I mean, I'm not a lawyer, Jason. I don't know what the legal ramifications of some of that would be with an ongoing trial. I know that there was one filed with Brian Harpole filed one as a security contractor for, you know, at the time for Charlie. But I don't know exactly what the legal ramification. And I know there's a lot of noise. People are saying, oh, well, they're afraid of discovery. No, nobody's afraid of anything. It's just a matter of, first of all, the bandwidth of Erika, first, because she already has all this going on. And then if that were to happen, what that would look like. And then also, what does that do to the trial? I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. And I don't know how long the trial is going to go on either. I do believe, I think it is going to be a while as well, you know? So, I mean, when you look at those things, the legal due process, I know that a lot of podcasters, and Candace included, have kind of weaponized our distrust in a lot of the agencies and a lot of those things, which we naturally have, to kind of say, well, then that's all of them, which I don't believe that. But I do believe that, yeah, there's some things that we distrust, rightfully so. We should question those things. But I don't know what the legal ramifications would be in that situation for all involved. And then also, you know, would it affect the trial in any way? I don't know that either.
I got you. As far as you know, is Erika involved in the planning, strategizing, prosecution of Tyler Robinson in any way, shape, or form?
That I can't answer either. I honestly don't know anything about it. And I think it wasn't pushed back. Wasn't there supposed to be something in April and then it was pushed back?
Well, that's the defamation trial. Candace is being sued by the Macrones. That's been pushed back to June. But
so isn't Tyler Robinson's, isn't the evidentiary coming out in May sometime?
It's supposed to be in May, right? I don't believe it's been moved, right? It's still on track.
Okay.
Well, a lot of people bring it up and say, like, you know, Erika Kirk is doing this. Erika Kirk's attorneys are doing this. I'm like, no, this is the state of Utah.
Yeah, that I do know is true.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Erika's not like in there like strategizing.
No.
Like do this or carry this. No, that's not what's happening at all. So I just wanted to just get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. No, that part of it, I've heard that with Utah, and I have some other friends of mine who are in law enforcement that I've spoken to as well. And I mean, that is what I've heard as well, that it's Utah running the show.
Right. So Candy Cole is so warped, please forgive me, that even when the court proves Erika's innocent, they'll just claim that the system is corrupt. Nothing stops their delusion. Thank you so much, Christelle, for the 5. And I agree. Like, I don't know if there's anything that will satisfy the bloodlust of these people. And I think Brian Harpole probably did the best thing and dare I say probably the smartest thing, by just ignoring her and capturing all of that. Imagine the people that have, in good faith, reached out to Candace, or in good faith answered her phone call or her text message, only to later on be plastered before 6 and 7 million people, their information because of what they said. And I'm talking to you, Andrew Colvett. I'm talking to you, Terrell Farnsworth. I'm talking to you. If they had not done those things, imagine what would not have happened. But anything you want to add on that?
No, I mean, even when Candace went after my family, I mean, I think she did 3 episodes or something like that. Every single thing, except for 2 facts about I grew up riding horses and I grew up in Missouri, were correct. Everything else was false. And so I think that, and I asked her that question, which kind of goes back to like the protocol and also the responsibility that I believe that when you have a platform, you do have a responsibility. And I asked her, why didn't you come to me directly? Ask me these questions that you had. I would happily answer your questions. Instead, you decided to conjecture and imply and change the narratives around and make 3 podcasts out of it, and then circle back around and then never make it right. So to address what you said a minute ago about once this goes through, what's going to happen? There is a demographic of people, I think, that will never believe anything, even when the truth is right in front of them. And I don't think they can question that, because that's their identity. That means that they would have to possess humility to think maybe I'm wrong. And very few people can do that. Even when they're shown black and white, this is where we're at. Very few people can, because they've doubled down on that. They've built, think about all the people that have built platforms, that have built, making a lot of money off of this and continuing it going. Imagine if all of a sudden it dropped. What would they do? I mean, these people would go on about their day, but the damage has been done. I mean, that's the part that I think, and that was the question I asked Candace too. It's like, how do you right these wrongs? How do you change this? What happens? And there's always that thing, like when you go after an institution or a corrupt institution, you're going after the very system, right? But there's a cause, there's a cause and effect. What's the cause? That's where I look at the foundation, the root cause. So how do you right that? How do you do that? I don't know. In the court of public opinion, it's very interesting to be able to right that wrong and actually have it be different in people's minds. And then there are some people who be like, you know what? I just don't know. I really don't know what to think. I'm not even going to get involved in it. I really don't have an opinion. And then and that's what I'm saying. There's all these different schools of thoughts. And that's because we're being led by a social media app and podcasters who seem to be swaying one side or the other whenever they can. There's no consistency of character in a lot of these people.
No, I think that's a great point. All right, let's see what we got here. I would like to point out that Vinny was quite emotional about Erika being too emotional to be a CEO. And that is a great point. Thank you so much, Gail. That was and again, I think it was, I don't think it was good form for PBD. And again, matter of fact, let me pause for a second. How did Erika become CEO? Was there
that was in the succession plan, and it was also voted on by the board, and it was Charlie's wishes, and it was talked about multiple times.
Okay, I'm going to actually give you the big screen, because I really want you to say that again for the people in the back, because they might not have heard that. So I'm gonna give you the big screen so you can say that one more time for the people in the back, because they didn't pay, they got the cheap seat. So say that again.
There was a succession plan, there was voted on by the board, and there were actually multiple conversations. Charlie actually said it on multiple videos, and then people in the organization heard Charlie talk about it all the time, that Erika could easily carry on. The caveat is nobody knew that this was going to be the way that it was. And I think that that's something that people don't want to understand, that, this was Charlie's wishes, and this was Turning Point as well. And everyone that knows Erika knows that she can do this.
There we go. And I said it, people are phrasing it like there was a mob of people that wanted to be CEO. And Erika comes through throwing bows and stilettos to make her way up to the front of the list to seize control, as if she beat up all these men and people that, to become CEO. And I'm like, why? And I heard it even last night with PBD. And I don't, if you go back and listen to it, listen to him talk about it. Listen to him talk about it. And everybody's dancing around the most obvious question. Did Charlie Kirk have a succession plan?
Right.
Was there a living will or a will and trust or whatever where he outlined what would happen? And everybody's dancing around it. They dance around
Mhm.
it. I mean,
Mhm.
they treat Erika like again, like it was WWF, Royal Rumble. She's throwing people out of the ring, and she's the last one, Queen of the Ring. I'm like, but why are you not? Why are you assuming that Charlie didn't have that in place? He was able to build an organization from a napkin to actually help usher in the 47th president. You
Mhm.
mean you want me to believe that he did not have on paper somewhere
Yeah.
some kind of
Yeah.
notarized document who would take over? You just want me to believe
Mhm.
his wife just bowed her way through? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why it's hard for people, like I said, it's hard for people to understand because maybe they wouldn't do it that way or they would question something
Right.
else, whatever. And Erica is not, that's not her personality. You know, she didn't ask for this, but she will step in and she will definitely do her best to carry on the legacy. Any woman, if my husband had a business and I was, you know, I was behind the scenes, I was the helper and something happened to him and he said to me, hey, this is yours. If something ever happens to me,
Mm-hmm.
nothing would stop me from continuing that. Nothing. Because there's a commitment. And we used to do these things generationally with legacy. You know, I mean, it was just a given. I carry on my father's legacy. I carry on my husband's legacy. And so
Right.
when those words are the root of their relationship, legacy, country, faith, family, it's taken very seriously. You know,
I
I mean,
agree.
it's even like with myself. I mean, I'm not in any way, shape, or form involved in any kind of a situation at all. However, I know that I will continue to be of service however I can to help in any way that I can to continue this, whatever small role or whatever I can do to help, because I believe in the mission. And
Yeah.
that's where I think that people forget it was mission driven, founder led. And that's something that, you know, again, it's going to have to be visionary led right now because we don't have Charlie.
Right.
But the mission can still continue and it will continue. And then anyone that wants to come on board, wants to continue that, maybe have a conversation with them. I mean, this is something that I don't think anything, she definitely didn't come in through stilettos, if you know, or they might have been sneakers.
Right.
But it was literally just a board voted on it. The people that know her intimately in that board know her capabilities. I mean, Erika is very well educated, multiple degrees. I mean,
Mhm.
multiple businesses. I mean, she's built everything from the ground up. Like I said, there was an intersection there. It was literally something that they both were already working on. And then Erika became the helper and Charlie just took it from there.
I love it. I love it. All right, real quick. George says this. Thank you with the 5. You're a good dad. I have 5 sons. We have great, the greatest conversations. Christian,
Love
you're
it.
a good friend to sweet Erika. Thank you so much
Mhm.
for that. Absolutely. And I agree. I think Erica's blessed to have you in her corner and her board of directors. Did someone ask a question when she said she wanted to go home? I feel like they did. Is there any other lore, any other background to that about the whole at the White House dinner,
No, it
correspondent
was
dinner?
just a shocking moment, you know? And I mean, that
Yeah,
was it. That was it. And I texted her, said, "Where are you? What's going on? Are you safe?" And I knew some of the people that were with her. And she said, I'm going home right now." And I said, "Okay, just text when you get home and you land." And that was it.
I got you. Yeah, I don't and again, I'm like, I don't know if we would do this with any other situation.
We
If
wouldn't.
we saw this, I don't believe we would behave like this
No,
if
no.
it were anybody else. And truth be told, I believe we know we wouldn't behave like this because Candace has alluded that she had quote unquote French assassins in Nashville ready to delete her, and not one person batted an eye that she's
No,
never filed a police report.
no.
She's never told the police that these people are on her bumper. Never.
Right, right.
So like all of this intrigue into Erika, but you're not doing the same thing over there. Oh, never mind. I guess
Yeah.
I'll leave it
Well,
alone.
there's such a projection too, though, Jason. I mean, just from some of the things that I know from behind the scenes, back and forth, a lot of the things that Candace is accusing Erika of, she's doing it herself. I mean, there's
Oh,
so
really?
many questions around so many things, and I do believe that things
Mhm.
will definitely be revealed over time. It's not
Right.
my place to do it, but I do believe that people will definitely find their voice and will come out and realize that truth will always stand. It may just take some time.
I agree with you 100%. All right. Claire says this with the 10. Thank you so much. She says this, I'm the same age as Charlie. I have 2 kids, similar age. My heart breaks for Erika. I've been
Mhm.
arguing these deceived women in Facebook groups, comments, etc. I know God is in her defense, but I get so mad. What would you say to her? What would you, because I'm going to use Claire as an avatar for other people who are trying to who see rightly the situation, who see this situation from a place of nuance and grace, what would you tell her? What would you tell
Well,
this person?
first of all, if Claire was my client, I would tell her, don't ever give your power away to anyone else that didn't write your story.
Okay. Okay.
Just don't. I mean, because the moment you emotionally react, you're in a vulnerable place. And that's
Got it.
why I said that self-regulation. What do you know to be true? Right. And then you don't need to engage. When you engage, it's like fuel on the fire. And I realize sometimes we have to. I mean, I always look at three things. Number one, is it just noise? If it
Right.
is, block it out. If it's something that's distorted, right the wrong, turn it in the right direction. And if it's something that's credible that you need to address, then go with it. So those are the
Mhm.
three things that I always use to vet things through, because there's a lot of noise out there and some things don't deserve your attention, and other things, yeah, if you do feel like you need to correct this distortion, 100% do that and do it in the most graceful way. And it's interesting, have you ever gone, I'm sure you have, gone through the comment sections on different posts and you see just the hatred and the anger and the name calling and things like that. And then once in a while, you'll see someone who just mindfully responds with such grace and then steps back. Those messages have more of an impact on the whole, what I believe, than all the other noise, because that just goes back and forth. And there's
Right.
really no need to do that. And don't ever stoop down to that level. Always rise above and keep your standards in place, how you respond. Because otherwise you'll be pulled down. And that's not where God wants you. And that's not how he made you either. We are set apart. So we need to learn how to respond in a better, mindful way. And don't let the anger get a hold of you. Vengeance is God. We know that.
I love it. No, thank you so much for that. All right, what do we got here? What do we got here? Candy hit your family. Why stay quiet? And what was it? What
Well,
was that? What was that like for you, the Martin family?
so it was interesting. So I made one video of Erika 3 months after Charlie's assassination, just as her character, because I saw people just beating her up.
Mhm.
And I was just like, no, this is not okay. I mean, and years ago, you had character references, right? And I'm like, no, this isn't cool. So I made the video, and then I made a second video talking about the comparison of a Jezebel versus a Proverbs 31 woman, just to
Okay.
realize that I tell them by the spirits of their fruit. That's how I
Mhm.
look at the differences, right? And then I did, I was actually with my parents and my daughter says, hey, mom, is your phone blowing up? I'm like, no, why? She's like, well, you're all over Candace's show today. I'm like, okay. I go,
Nice.
whatever. And so then I saw what was happening. And then when she brought my daughter into it, that's when I said, I'm done. And that's when I reached out. I made a video, I made an audio of Candace and said, I'm right here. You want to ask a question, ask a question. I have nothing to hide, pick up the phone. And so then she sent me a DM a couple days after that. And then we ended up getting on the phone for like an hour, a little over an hour on the phone on a Sunday evening. And
Okay.
it was really just a matter of, Jason, of like, I want to give you the truth from lived experience with someone. And you really don't know someone unless you go through a lot of life events with them, right? How they
That's
handle
correct.
it. So I have done many life events with Erika. I know her core character and I know her heart. And that's what I wanted to explain to Candace, these things that you're talking about, just all the things. And she had so many inaccuracies. And I told her, no, this is the right no. And then she said, well, I think you know, but you really don't know. I'm like, okay, so yours is created content, mine is lived experience. And so it was really just a matter of, I think my biggest mistake was actually thinking that she wanted the truth. I think that was my biggest mistake.
Let me ask you a question. I do want to build off of that. Do you feel like you said she had many, many inaccuracies.
Mhm.
Do you think she just got information wrong? Or do you think she just made it up out of whole cloth? Like where did the inaccuracies come from?
I think it was her opinion based on a specific situation. And like the one was about where they live, they live in a mansion. I'm like, no, they don't. You live in a mansion in Nashville. They live in a very small place, the first place that they've lived in since they were married. It's a very small place. And so I was trying to explain that to her and talking about when Charlie woke up the kids and she says, well, they were arguing before. And I'm like, no, none of this is true. And I asked her, have you ever been in their place? No. I'm like, well, then how do you know? Well, I know where they live and I'm downloading floor plans. I know what it looks like. And I'm like, that's pretty weird. But again, you don't know. You've never been there in person. So you're making a conjecture and you're implying, and that is not accurate. And when you do that on a platform that then reaches millions of people, that's the problem. You can't
Right.
take that back. And the inaccuracies were where she had said that she knew where Charlie and Erika were taking Erika's mother for treatment. That was incorrect. I mean, everything about my husband's not a border patrol agent. We have no lawsuits. He wasn't bringing people across the border. There were so many things that were just inaccurate. But she did not want to know that she was inaccurate. And I think
Wow.
that's the problem. I mean, I've heard multiple people that and know her personally that have said things to her, and she refuses to listen. And I mean,
That's crazy.
I don't know how far somebody would go, I mean,
Mhm.
to that degree of thinking that they do know everything when they really don't. And it's not even about, I don't need to be right, you don't need to be wrong. It's not about that. It's about truth will stand. And when the truth stands, the insanity stops. And I don't think anyone really wants that to stop right now.
I agree. Let me keep these going. Thank you so much for answering that. Hey, hello, Tracy. When you spoke to Candace, what was her reaction when you told her that she was wrong about the Catholic burial? Okay.
She, again, didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to hear it. I mean, I think that that's something that I think that that's something that when you've got this big long trail that you've been building, because that was in the end of February, I think I spoke. No, beginning of February, I think I spoke to
It's
her.
been a while.
Yeah, yeah.
She's been on that thing for a minute.
Yeah, and so I think there's such this reinforcement built in that, again, she doesn't know me. She just, knew me from a specific conversation, but she knew people that knew me. We had some mutuals, which was funny. And so I don't think she wanted to know that, because then she would have to change the narrative in the story. And she would also then have to write that and say I was incorrect, but she can't. I've never heard her say that at all, except
Mm-mm.
she started the phone conversation with she wants to be accurate. And I'm like, okay, then let me give you these accuracies that you can go back,
Accuracy is
and
right.
and that never happened. So she did not want to hear the truth of any of these situations.
Interesting. No, no, I agree. Do you and I'm just going to build off of Irene. Thank you so much, Irene, for this wonderful question. Do you believe that we are looking at the tale of two Charlies, where the Charlie Kirk that you and Erika and those close to him know, but then this other Charlie that podcasters and Candace are creating, because it's almost like they're two different
Yeah,
people. The
yeah,
Charlie that Candace is creating is scared of the Jews. He got duped by his wife. He gets pressured through text messages. He's dang near a fraud.
yeah,
I mean, he,
yeah.
he, he's
Imagine
uh
that.
he's a fraud in his religious beliefs, and I mean, which is completely counter to the Charlie that you know and that Erica
Mhm.
knew and the people at TPUSA. Do you feel like she's trying to create again the tale of two Charlies?
I think there has to be a narrative built up in order to continue this. I don't know how you could take the part of Charlie that people that knew him intimately. The story wouldn't go as long as it's gone if it was just
Right.
that. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. There's truth, it stands and everything else stops. When you she said that I know Charlie was taking OCIA classes, he was becoming Catholic. I'm like, no, he wasn't. I mean, no, he wasn't. And she didn't want to hear that. And I said, Candace, I go to the same church. I'm not Catholic, but I love the Catholic Church. I love the tradition of this one church in Scottsdale. I think it's beautiful. I go, I sit with it. My daughter's Catholic. My husband was raised Catholic. I just go in reverence of, no, that's not true. I'm like, I'm even telling you mine, what I do, and you don't believe me. So I
Tracy, your
honestly,
story's not true, Tracy.
I know, right?
Tracy.
My whole life is crazy. But you know what I'm saying? I think that if you took someone that knew Charlie intimately, like his wife, and that shared these personal stories, to humanize him and to bring him back to the relevancy of the position that he held, versus someone who has to create this narrative based upon history that she had with him way back when. And what does that look like? And I do think she also believes that she was deserved more than she got. And I don't know that for a fact. It's just my observation. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you can't
Mhm.
have, because if you have the one, it doesn't meet the other one. And that's where
Right.
people sit in that middle and don't know what to believe. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to believe. They hear this, they hear that. And I always tell people, if you have no context and you have no nuance, you really don't know the whole situation. And I'm not saying that to be judgmental, but I'm just telling you the truth, that if someone came to me and said, yeah, Jason, he's really a bad guy, and I had this experience with him, and he's this and he's that. Shame on me for taking one person and not experiencing a relationship myself.
Right.
And that's what I think people have so easily done in this situation. And I just think it's to the
Or
detriment of each people.
or even do, like, for example, somebody can tell you that Jason's a very good for nothing low down person. And the fact that these people don't say, okay, well, give me proof and evidence that Jason's a low down good for nothing.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I have his daughter who's outside my office. I don't know why she's talking so loud, but his daughter will come in and tell you just how much of a good for nothing lowdown. And behind her is her other sister, and behind her is her mom, and then his mom was out there, and I think his dog catcher is in the fifth line, and they'll all testify that Jason's a good for nothing, low down person. But they don't even have any proof. Like they'll just say, "Oh,
Mhm.
somebody told me this, and that is sufficient."
Yeah. Well, and
Somebody
and then
told me this.
you also pull out the experience. What was that? I mean, I know there's a meme out there that said you can either call me a bitch or a sweet person, depending upon who you are, is who I showed up as. Right.
Okay,
But I don't believe in that. I believe in being a consistency of character no matter what the situation. I will still remain who I am. But there are some people who will say, well, you get this version and you get this version. I'm sure there are people that had things back and forth with Charlie that they didn't care for Charlie.
yeah,
Absolutely. And I'm sure there are people that finally somebody is saying what I believe, and here's Charlie. And I think that that's where we have that confirmation bias, because then that's the lens that we then go, oh, well, this is what I see. It's like people have taken my videos, women I've never met, taken my videos, clipped them, sped them up, done all kinds of weird things to them. And they're like, this person's this. I'm like, but they don't know me, right? So then what they're serving to their audience is a complete altered version. Whereas probably if we sat down and had dinner together, we probably don't disagree on too much.
right.
How you're going to do this, we may disagree how we're going to get there, but I think
Yeah.
most of us want the same types of things for ourselves and our families and for where we live. It just depends on how you get there. And I think that that's what we're losing with all this disconnect through social media and through all these different, basically mass interactions over communication over these devices.
No, I agree. Thank you so much. All right, Jesus Freak, thank you so much for the two. He says, look, hey, thank you for being her voice. I know he's saying this to you, Tracy. Wish I
Yes.
could give her a hug. And I would, next time you do, we would definitely appreciate you giving her a hug on behalf of
I will
the
do that.
podcast, because we really do appreciate what she's doing. Christelle says this: looking back at the decision to heavily promote Candace, where did the discernment fail regarding her character? Also, plan to stop this cult mentality. Um, and again, I don't know how much you know about Candace's lore. So,
Yeah.
like, where do you think maybe they might have dropped the ball, or where Charlie might have dropped the ball by even tapping Candace on?
I honestly don't know. I know that I have a friend of mine actually that was involved with some stuff when they did up in DC years ago.
Mhm.
But I honestly don't know exactly the inner workings. I know that at some point in time it no longer fit for Turning Point, and they stepped away, and she was never invited back in. There was no, I think I said this before on another podcast, to where it's like, if you were still friends but you just couldn't do business together, but you were going to go to the greater mission, you would still align in some way, shape, or form. But there was a complete disconnect to
Right.
what that was. So I don't know like the inner workings of that, but I do know that that was the situation, that it was completely cut and there was never an invitation reciprocated back or forth, which tells me, okay, what's behind the scenes here? And that's me, leading into that. But I would think, even if I disagreed with somebody, but I believed in the bigger mission, I would still align with them to some degree to amplify that. So I don't really know, but I do know that they were not friends. I do know that Charlie and Candace were not friends in the last few years, for sure.
And I think to help you out there, because again, I've done a lot more research on this than probably the FDA would probably recommend. So I do believe that she was on contract to do speaking engagements still with Turning Point, hence what they recently severed with her at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
However, to your point, ask anybody, and I ask the best live chat on the internet all the time. Anybody in Candace's supporters or Cantifa, show me a text message or an email or a video of Candace and Charlie from 2024.
Mhm.
Every one of the videos, every one of the text messages, every one of the pictures is oddly from like 2019 or older.
Right, correct,
You got to
correct.
wonder, like, well, wait, were they not friends in 2020? I have friends that I've been friends with for 35 years. We
Yeah, same.
have conversations that I could show you at least in the last 12 months,
Right.
at least, and some of them even today. So,
Yeah,
like, I have a friend that we've been friends for almost 48 years.
I love it.
We met when we were in kindergarten. I have a text message from him from March for his birthday, and he's so long. So long story short, you can't go that long and say, oh, we
No.
were best friends. We were just, thick as thieves with no evidence. That's got
No,
to be,
and you
that's a
know
problem.
what though, Jason, even go one better than that, just like the proof of it. Just, I mean, if you really were, and you saw what happened to Charlie, wouldn't you put aside any of that kind of stuff to be part of bringing things to continue? You would not be destroying and tearing down,
Mhm.
what he built, and it's ultimately going after Erika to get to Turning Point.
Correct.
That's ultimately what you have to do. So to me, above all that kind of stuff, and maybe it's just because I think very differently than most, and definitely differently than Candace, but differently than most people do, is the fact that I would then have the humility of saying, you know what, it's not about me. It's about the mission continues. What can I do?
Absolutely.
How can we come to some sort of an agreement? And people just don't want to do that anymore. They're all out for themselves. It's all about themselves. It's like, no, you guys, this is bigger than any of us. And so we have to understand that. And how can we then link up arms and find that common ground? That's
Do,
always been my goal.
I love it. Do you know if anybody has, like, for example, I'm running my ministry, my product over here in Atlanta,
Mhm.
but after Charlie Kirk's assassination, I reached out to Turning Point to say, hey, whatever I can do to help you out, I'll gladly. Do you know if other entities have done that, or has it just been Turning Point versus the world, so to speak, or have other entities tried to come in and
I
wanted to
don't
come
know,
in
but
to
I would
add
think
support?
so. I would
I
think
would
they
hope
would
so too.
have. Yeah, I would hope so. I don't know if I think people are afraid right now because you
Yeah,
kind of put a target on your back.
I got you.
I
That's
mean, I was
yeah.
talking to somebody over the weekend, and we were talking about, he wanted to have a conversation and tried to put this out. He goes, but to be honest with you, T, he goes, I am going to stay out of it for a little while. And I'm like, that's part of the problem. I said, it continues because good people stay quiet.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you know who didn't stay quiet? Right here. She said this. Thank you so much for the very kind 20. She says, thank you, Tracy, for being such a wonderful friend. Please let Erica know we love her and we have her back. I
I love
think
that.
she is such a beautiful, strong woman. Well, thank you so
She
much for
is.
that.
She is.
No argument for me at all. I agree 100%. Let's keep this going. My favorite Aussie says this: was Charlie really changing to be a Catholic? You kind of addressed this, but let's just we
Yeah.
can get it clarified. Erica is blessed to have you, Tracy, as a friend.
Oh, I'm equally blessed. Trust me. She's a great person. No, he was not taking OCIA classes, which is what Candace was talking about on the call to me, and then even
Mhm.
just to other people. So no, he was not.
I got you. And I don't think people fully understand. I'm a Presbyterian, so we don't
Mhm.
do a lot of the
Same.
things that. There we go. Shout out to Presbyterians. We don't do a lot of the things that Catholics do. However, I can if somebody said, "Hey, the matter of fact, the school that my daughter goes to, it has a huge cathedral, and it is nice." When we went up there for parent weekend, I said, this is a very nice building. Like no argument, no shame. That being the case, now you are going to Presbyterian church on Sunday, right? Okay, gotcha. Um, so I can understand. I can say, okay, fine. If for the camaraderie, especially if you're new to a place or
Mhm.
you have a certain affiliation with it, I can understand it. And I don't know why people can't be gracious like that, Tracy, and say, you know what? I don't rock with them, but I can understand why somebody might be
Yeah.
appreciative of XYZ.
You
I
know,
don't know why people can't do that.
I respect the faith of, I mean, like over the weekend, I was in it's not an Eastern Orthodox, they're actually based out, it was like a Ukrainian Orthodox Catholic church. And I love sitting there and listening, and I learn wherever I go, right? I'm a student of life. And so I love sitting in different churches and learning. I was raised Presbyterian, baptized Presbyterian. Read my Bible every morning. That's like my way to, I always say, I want God to get in my head before the world does. Um, and so, I think it's got to be my way. It's got to be, I'm right, you're wrong. And it doesn't have
Mhm.
to be that way. Right. I mean, and so I think if you look at that's why I think it's always funny when you look at people's bios, when they come after, like they come after me or whatever, I go on their bio and it's wife, mother, Jesus follower. And,
Right.
and I'm the one that's, got the issue. And it's always like, but if you really were, and I could tell by your fruits, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And I always try to vet those things through. And so I agree with you. I think that we need to get to a place of the grace, the humility, the learning, because we don't know everything.
Right.
I mean, we never will until we meet, after we're out of this world and we go to our heavenly home and we can ask these questions. Until then,
No,
it's
I
not
agree.
worth it to me to have an argument with somebody that's following. It's not my place to judge someone else's salvation.
No, I agree with you 100%. All right, this is a good question, and I kind of, I don't want to put it up there yet because I'm wondering. I'm answering it in my head what I think your answer is going to be. I think I feel comfortable. All right,
Okay.
here it comes, Tracey. Wow, thank you for clearing this up, Tracey. She really attempt to rewrite the Charlie story is so Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't the question. Sorry. All right, this is an encouragement to you. This was not the question. Sorry about that. Thank you,
That's okay.
the other Erika. Here is the real question: was Tracey friends with Charlie as well, or just Erika?
No, so I was friends with Charlie, not to the degree that I was with Erika. I mean, I
Got it.
didn't know him as well. And that's something I love that you asked that question. I met Charlie when they first started to date. And so they were just dating. And then, like I said, I was invited when he asked her to marry him. I was at all the important events, when they had their second little baby. Charlie's like, hey, can you be at the hospital? I got to be here. Can you stay with Erika? It's like those types of things, right? We were the family that was called in all these situations, and it was always Charlie, reaching out and things like that. So yeah, we've been to, Mother's Day brunches and birthday dinners and things like that. But no, I was not like integrated into that on a daily basis, whereas I was with Erika.
I got you. No, and that makes sense, and that's what I actually thought as
Yeah.
well. But
Well, it's the
you,
same thing with
but you,
with my husband. Erika knows that if she needs anything, she's going to call my husband Tom. He is going to be there in 2 seconds. But she and I are very, very close. She's close with both of my daughters. But with my husband, he's not around very much. He's working, and so a lot of times, she'll say, "Hey, if you need this," and like just text Tom, he'll be there in 2 seconds.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Mexichica says this with the 5. Tracey, were Charlie and Candace still? We kind of talked about this. Friends the day he died. The way
No.
she portrays is they always were talking, yet isn't friends with Erika.
No,
we kind of talked about
they
that.
were not. Yeah.
And I think it's also just another, going back to what we were talking about, like verifying and getting your sources and your
Mhm.
evidence and your receipts, if you will. If she had a text message from Charlie 3 days before he died, would she not have already shown that text message?
You would
I think we
think.
all know. Right.
Yeah.
She would have shown it, not a text message from 2019.
Right.
Like,
Correct.
you would have shown this, or a stolen text message that he was in a text stream with 5 other people and you just got a screen grab from it.
Right.
He wasn't texting you. Like,
Correct.
and and to the point, to the Sue Happy Mafia, the people that really want to get all litigious, please understand, Candace doesn't want that, because then her phone records would come into play, her text messages, her emails, her DMs, and she would have to prove that she had a conversation with Charlie and said these things.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
That's going to be a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's going to be a problem. So I don't think she wants to get sued as much as she talks trash. I don't think she wants to.
No, I don't think so either. There's a huge transparency at that point, and I just think there's too much there. I don't think she wants to be transparent.
No. I lost an SC Dog. Thank you so much again, friend. I lost a friend because I stood 10 toes down for Erika against Candace's lies. Said friend said Candace Owens had proof. I asked what proof and got blocked.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the same thing.
Yeah, and the sad thing about the sad thing about that too is the fact that that person who blocked you didn't have the humility to just be like, we're gonna disagree. I don't really know these facts, but I care more about my friendship than I do about being right.
Correct.
And I think that that's where maybe God just brought somebody out of you that you didn't need to worry about. You didn't hear what was going on behind your back.
Yeah, because I agree. I don't think that was a good friend at all.
No.
Going back to how this is negatively impacted, or rather how it's impacted your family, the whole 2-week brouhaha that your daughter had insight and intel, or I'm sorry, you had intel, hence why you told your daughter, right, not to go to UVU.
Yeah.
Has that died down? Is your daughter still experiencing that? And is she still working with Erika, if it's okay to ask?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She still works there. Yeah, absolutely. She works with Erika for Proclaim and the Bible 365. Yeah. I mean, it's died down to some degree. And this is what I told Candace. I said, what you don't see is the things that we see, the DMs I get, the accusations that I get, the things that come at me. You don't see what you've incited by doing this. And so, yeah, I still get them. I still get accusations if I go on to a thread to try to, oh, it's this person. Oh, here she is again. She had prior knowledge. She knew Charlie was going to be assassinated. It's those people still are holding on to that kind of stuff. And I just sit back and I think, do you really believe that? Do you really? And then I've had people say that if you knew, why didn't you tell why didn't you tell your best friend? Well, I'm like going, you are so delusional, and at that point in time, I just bless them, and just say,
Right.
hey, you know what? God will give you over to your depraved mind. And it's not my place to try to convince you. It's my job to inform you. And then I'm just going to walk away at that point.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, your husband and everybody else, um, he's not been negatively impacted on his
No, he's
whole
good. Well,
border patrol job.
no, it was funny because she said that we scrubbed the internet. And I'm like, you can't scrub the internet for something that didn't exist. My husband's never been on social media. So it was just and he doesn't have a LinkedIn. He has nothing. He doesn't want anything. And so it was
Not
funny when
mad
she
at him.
said they've scrubbed the internet. I'm like, you can't take off what wasn't there in the first place. And my older daughter doesn't, and my younger one doesn't. So, we've kind of locked that out because I just think that it's not. And now I have photos of my family on my platform,
Mhm.
but they don't have their own. They understand it.
No, I agree 100%. I'm just checking to see if there's any other encouraging or good questions to you. Uh-oh, what do we got here? Oh, well, I mean, I can't argue with what you're saying, Gail. Thank you for the 2. People just hate her because she's beautiful. I mean,
It's
I don't
it's
think she's gonna beat
really
those charges.
no. And what's interesting? I have had a really hard time with this. Knowing Erica, my girls grew up with her. All the things that we've done together, like I said, she has such a beautiful heart that it was interesting. I could never have imagined that the world would do something like this to someone like her.
Mhm.
However, I know that God has equipped her to get through this. I do know
I
that.
agree.
And I know that she didn't ask for this, but she's equipped for it. And I know that when she gets through this fire, she is going to be one heck of an incredible force, more than she already is. And whatever he does with that, he will work all things for our good. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, I have that peace in my heart, and I've told Erica that too. That
I agree.
I have that peace around her, and around that I know that, we will get through this. And one of my favorite sayings is, this too shall pass. And ironically, it was Charlie's too, which I didn't know until recently. But it was just, we'll walk through the fire and just keep going. And when you come out the other end of it, I always tell people I coach from the scar, not the wound. And
Gotcha.
so that's what I always tell people, that you're getting you're getting the scar right now. You're going through the wound to get to the scar. And when you get there, you're going to be a whole different version of who you are. And you're probably going to love the person you are coming out the other side of it.
That's very smart. I like it. And this is a good point. I don't remember the fullness of the story, so thank you, Kelly Andrews. Charlie spoke with Candace Owens one time in 25, and it took the president of the United States to make him allegedly. She's told the story a couple of different ways, but allegedly Charlie Kirk is the one that called Candace to tell her to stop going after Lady Macron because Trump was in the process of trying to work out a deal with France about Ukraine.
Oh, I have no
Allegedly.
idea about that. I have no idea
She's
about that.
and she's told the story I've heard it told 2 different ways.
Okay.
So it's either Charlie called or Trump called. I'm sorry, 3 different ways. I apologize. Charlie called, Trump called, or somebody called on behalf of Trump. And the story just kind of morphs, and I don't know how true it is. And who knows? Maybe we'll find it in Discovery. But
Yeah,
I
for
guess
sure.
right. And I guess, for the Cantifa people, I'm like, well, what proof has she shown you that that actually happened?
There isn't any proof. There never has
Right.
been of
Like don't
anything.
be mad at me because I doubt it.
Yeah.
Like, what proof
Yeah.
did she show you that it actually happened? Because then
Right.
you should be doubting it until further notice.
Yeah.
You should be like me. So, but yeah, it's something like that, and I don't
Okay.
remember. But again, like she hasn't shown any proof, so I don't know why we believe that it happened
Well, and that's
at all.
what's so interesting when somebody's in a place of perceived authority, people believe. and they just blindly believe, unfortunately. But I have not heard that. I honestly don't know about that.
Yeah. That was just, again, I don't know how true it is or not.
Yeah.
Shout out for the two. Trio Monkey, I know of one more. I'll break the news. I know one more. I do know one more. I don't know any after that. So I don't know if Tracey knows any. I don't think Tracey's gonna,
What's the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. The question is how many lawsuits are coming for Candace? And I said, I know that there's one more.
I don't honestly, I don't know. I know there's conversation. I know that there's always, what if. I honestly don't know. You may know more than I do then. I don't know of one that's actually factually going to come. I don't know.
Yeah. And I know of one more. So
Okay.
when it comes, I'll say, I told you this is the one I'm talking about.
Good.
But yeah, let them come. Let them come.
Exactly.
Jesus Freak says this also. Even Jesus said we'd be hated because they hated him first. It is a reminder that when people hate kind people for seemingly no reason. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah. Well, it's like a modern day witch hunt.
Yeah. Let me put that back up there. Like people are mad because Erika forgave Tyler Robinson and said, I forgive him. And I mean, we spent a whole week trying to explain Christian forgiveness.
Right.
And it doesn't absolve responsibility and accountability.
No.
But it just absolves me of holding a grudge against you.
Correct.
And you would have thought, I'm like, and this is what I find very interesting. I'm going to bring this back in. I'm like, and this is what actually cued me off to Candace's supporters and the people that have been attacking Turning Point USA. I said, why is it that all these people that are attacking TPUSA have absolutely, positively no fruit of the Spirit? They're not Christian. Why is it that they are so invested and they themselves didn't care about TPUSA last Tuesday? But now all of a sudden they are so invested, losing their minds. I mean, raising Cain and Hades on Instagram and TikTok over it, but they themselves are not Christian because they don't understand something.
It's like a herd mentality, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like what you said about they didn't even know about anything. It's almost like even the people that didn't like Charlie now all of a sudden are like, oh, poor Charlie. Like, I'm like, you really think that this brilliant intellectual mind that once in a lifetime, right, that he didn't know who he was married to. He didn't know anything. It just blows my mind that people actually believe that. And then if you watch videos of them together back, like the early years, you can't deny the connection and the love that they had for one another. And that, as you know, being married, it just grows as you decide to choose each other every day. You do life every day. You go through difficult things every day. It just grows. I mean, to me, it's like people like you are so lost. If you really think that, and who Erika was is, yes, she can forgive him, but it's still a process. Right. I mean, she took that weight off and gave that to God. And then she's going to continue to walk through this. So people don't but I said that too. I think it's Philippians 4:6, to where it's a peace beyond understanding, to where, and you won't understand it if you don't have the Holy Spirit. You just won't understand it. And that's why we're called apart, and then, like you said, the fruit of the Spirit, I measure everything against that. And I think that when you look at someone's life over a lifetime and you have the trajectory of looking at that, and then someone counterfeits it or inverts it, it's interesting how people gravitate towards the negative rather than the positive.
No, I agree with you 100%. And also, Blue Moon says this with a 5. Do you think Erika now regrets not suing Candace long time, I think a minute ago, and what she thinks about Andrew stating that starting the while is there unalive Charlie? I'm not understanding how that sentence is going. Do you think Erika wanted to or wishes she had at all?
No, I don't think so yet. I mean, I honestly don't, because like I said, there's a bandwidth here, that we have to remember for humanly what she's going through already, and what would that look like time wise. I mean, she, like I said, takes care of her mother, she has children, she has TPUSA, she has the trial, she has all these other things. So I don't think so. I don't think there's any regret that she hasn't done anything to this day. I don't think so.
Okay. No, I agree with you. Wow. Israel unalived. Yeah, I don't know what the second part of that is, Blue Moon. I apologize. I'm not certain I understand that part. I think we are good here. All right. It has been a wonderful hour and a half. Tracy, thank you so very much
No, thank
for
you for
hanging
having
out
me.
with
I
me.
appreciate it.
Anything you want to end with, you want everybody to remember, maybe about yourself, about your relationship with Erika, about Erika herself, anything you want to just give us as we are rounding the bases?
I just wish more people would find their voice and have it
Okay.
be courageous in it, because I think if more people were rooted in Christ and had that boldness, that did not back down, I think our world will look very different. I mean, just the passivity of most people, the apathy, which I think is worse than anything, to not have a feeling one way or the other.
Hmm.
Especially when it comes to, there's a lot more out there in the world for people to actually sink their teeth into, get to know Christ, make your life purposeful, care about your life that you've been given, steward your life that you've been given, because the world right now and culturally wants to pull you away from that. And I just
Yeah.
encourage people, I mean, if I can ever be of service, I'm happy to be here. But I
Mhm.
just think that there's every single person is a puzzle piece, and we have to have everyone activated.
All right. Okay. Gosh, a couple of questions came in.
Sure.
All right. Are you concerned about TPUSA leakers? Thank you so much, Claire, for that very kind five. I'm concerned about for safety reasons. Is that
Yes, I
something
am.
that's okay?
Yeah.
Is
Personally, I
that
am. I definitely am.
I got you. We will definitely be praying for that as well. And then lastly, oh, not lastly, I'm sorry. Gail says this with the five. Wait, does she know anything about our boy Ben Shapiro, our guy Ben? Do you know anything about
I know
Ben?
nothing about Ben, unfortunately.
He's a hoot.
I
I
am
like
I
Ben.
am not I am not the expert in that area at all.
No, that's perfectly fine. And then lastly, Blue Moon says, please tell Erica while it seems the world is full of demons like Candace and co, there's hope and she can use this madness to spread light. She will represent the light in the dark times. Amen. Thank you so much, Blue Moon. I
Amen. She will
appreciate that.
carry
Thank you.
on what Charlie started. Absolutely.
No, I agree. And then got a nice little hug there from
Nice.
Miss Time. Thank you so much, everybody. Tracy, I have taken up a lot of your time. I know you're cooking for the
That's okay.
family and
They're
such
they're
like
they're
that.
good.
You're good? Okay. Now, if you ever want to, I know this guy, he will definitely send you a link and a calendar invite. You're welcome to come back whenever. If you ever want to talk about something, if the case starts going and you want to talk about it and unpack or something, or you find something great at the farmer's market Saturday, let me know. We'll let you come
No,
on and we'll talk about what
I
you found at the
appreciate
farmer's market.
I appreciate it. I think honestly, what my heart is just to equip, all generations of women. I mean, I coach a lot of young men and men too, but my heart is for women because we are the ethos of the home. And I will send you some information on the lighthouse that's
Please.
coming out, because I think it's very beneficial to women just as a template, for people to actually see themselves in and just go through it on their own time. They don't need me. If they want me, great. If not, not a problem. And then just
Okay.
that we have events to where women can come in and we can go like face to face with stuff. And I love equipping all generations of women because it's time to take a stand.
I absolutely agree. Thank you so much. And I'll make sure I put the link. You send it to me and I'll put the link in the description of it so people
Absolutely.
can come follow you and all that kind of good jazz and see
Perfect.
what you have going on. That's wonderful.
Perfect.
Again, if you ever want to come back, you're welcome. If
I
you want to tell
appreciate that.
Erica, hey, Jason wants you to come on, she's welcome to come on or
I will
anything of
pass
that
the
nature.
message along.
Please do. Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm gonna let you get out of here. Thank you
Okay.
again, and we'll see you real soon, friend.
Thank you. God bless.
Bless you. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Tracey Martin. Thank you so much to the best live chat on the internet. Thank y'all so much. That was a lot of fun. I like talking to her. I told you were gonna have a great time. Um, yeah, I wanted that to be the tenor, as you say right here, Giselle. I love her heart for women. I really think that wise women helping younger women navigate normal life as well as the dark places in life is going to be beneficial. And I thought her coming on was going to do it. And she was right on the button. I love it. I'm glad she was able to come on. Thank y'all so much for everybody who stopped by. Thank you so much for the very kind supers. Thank you so much for not only praying, but for being a part of the best live chat on the internet. That was a lot of fun. I really hope that you got something good out of it. GPS signal is lost. Some reason or other, my phone just told me GPS signal is lost, but I ain't going anywhere. I don't know what's that about. Um, but y'all, thank you so much, every last one of you. I will be back tomorrow The plan is I got a couple of videos to drop tomorrow, but I do want to say thank you all so much. I will let you all know. I do have a recording tomorrow. I don't want to tell you who it is yet, but we do have a recording tomorrow. So that'll be a lot of fun. So everybody, thank you so much for tapping in. Please, if you don't mind, please hit those green hearts on the way out the door. Make sure you tip your waiters. Thank the mods for keeping everything moving in the right direction and keeping us all moving safe and happy. I appreciate y'all. Thank you all. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you real soon. Grace and peace.